Hey everyone, Monday. Wow, you guys are getting used to actually seeing me here on time on the correct day. Yay for schedules. I'm loving it. I'm also sounding really snotty. Um, I don't know whether it's the remnants of the West Coast fires or just the fact that it's ragweed and pollen season or what, but I have just been dying. I wake up snotty. I gotta live on my allergy pills. I hate it. Hot coffee and tea are the only things that are keeping me going. But that said, it's been a really good week. I had an awesome weekend, which involved um, a outside. Excuse me. Hold on. Let's try that now. Wow. I had an outdoor fire on Friday night. Sorry, Saturday night with friends. We did a socially distanced thing around the campfire. They had bought a new fire pit, huge fire pit, and we enjoyed that. Just sat around, had a beer, chatted about the year that wasn't, and um, and then went home and crashed. And then Sunday morning, I had a lovely fire at my boyfriend's place, and we sat and watched Game of Thrones and cuddled by the fire, and that was phenomenal. And then last night, when I came home, I put a fire in the fireplace. Well, the kids had actually gotten a fire going, and they split wood. One of the big trees out back came down, um, and they've been cutting it up um, and getting it ready to go. So we had that too. That was great. So now I have tons of firewood, and I'm just like super thrilled. Anyway, it is week 2. I think I said that, week 2 of NaNoWriMo prep month or time. So of the 6 weeks, week 2 is walking us through the process of creating believable characters. And if you look on my Facebook page, I have a whole bunch of links to the Nano prep materials, and those are phenomenal. They're really good, especially if you're just starting in writing fiction or you've changed genres. Because I will tell you, as somebody who switches genres like weekly, writing a fictional character for a fantasy setting is nothing at all like writing a science fiction character or a romance character. They're all so very different, and so the rules change a little bit. And just remember, when you're working on this stuff, there is no right or wrong. Okay, if you're doing it and it works for you, then it's right. And if you're doing it and it's not working or you're frustrated, then don't do that. Do something else. But Nano has a whole bunch of stuff. They have like a huge, it's like questionnaires that you can ask. And so your main characters get this really detailed list, and then your secondary or supporting characters have how they're important stuff to the secondary characters. So how they're related to the main characters, what their purpose is, that kind of stuff. So really good, fun, useful stuff. I hate I hate those questionnaires. I don't do well with them. I really just don't. So I do my own thing. So I have a bunch of things I do. And again, I put it up on my Facebook author page this morning. Um, and you can do, whatever the heck you want. But I tend to do things like interviewing my characters. So I'll sit down and either out loud on a camera, with my phone or something, or on paper, I'll actually just interview them like I'm talking to them face to face. And it gives me a bit of insight, because a lot of the time, and authors will tell you this, characters speak to you from the back of your brain. It's like they're little separate people in there. And so by interviewing them, I give them the chance to kind of give me the information they want me to know before I start writing with them. And I find that particularly useful, because then I'm not quite surprised if they do something which appears to be out of character. Um, but there are lots of different ways that you can do it, and I just wanted to share with you. I talk about World Anvil a lot, and again, I have a link to that in my Facebook page. Please go and check it out, okay? You can use it free, you can pay for it, whichever you like, but I'm in the process of creating my new world, so you can give it a name. Mine is just called Earthmark 2 because I'm writing a fantasy novel, but it's in modern day here. So it's not, it doesn't have any special rules or geography that wasn't before, sort of. It's hard to explain. But when you go in, you can follow the instructions and they actually take you through how to go about doing it. And what you want to do is you want to look for characters, and it has a thing that says RPG character profiles. And you can click on that and you can use it to create a new character. So you can click create a new character, and then it gives you give it a first name, give it a last, middle name, whatever. In 3 sentences, describe them. You can drop a file in up to a megabyte. They allow JPEGs, PNGs, and GIFs. And so if you have a picture that you're working from, or somebody's done a sketch or whatever, you can pop it in there, and then you can make a choice of what you're playing in. So if you're using one of the actual worlds, they'll create the character sheet for you. So you can look World of Darkness 5th edition, DC Heroes system, Battletech RPG, Call of Cthulhu, Cypher system, Battlelords of the 21st century. And like, they have everything in here. I use just Dungeons and Dragons 1st edition stuff because that works for me. And I'm going to just create one here. Test name. This is a test. So I haven't actually used the part that uses the RPG stuff. So it actually does. It gives you this lovely little thing, and you can pull up a sheet, and it creates a character sheet for you if that's what you'd like to do. You have equipment lists, you have a scrapbook, a gallery, a journal, a history, followers. You can even stream it if that's what you so care. And you can create these and then pop them into your world, and it just keeps it all organized for you. And I absolutely adore that. And the thing that I like most about World Anvil is that I'm not relegated to a specific gaming system, to a particular type of writing. All of the characters from the Bloodstone and Bloodwater are all in my world. I have a full timeline that goes from before the first book all the way through to the end of the second one. So, and into the third, in fact, because I've started writing that timeline out. So, I mean, you can do all these things separately. So when I'm data checking my fantasy stuff or my vampire stuff, I'll go through my timeline and make sure I'm not contradicting myself anywhere. You know, oh, it says here that the prince was put in 1842, and I can't make it a different date in the next book. It has to be the same date. So those are the things that you can do. You can keep track of things like that. But it also, it lets you write down classes. So for instance, you can have clerics, you can have surgeons, you can have ministers, you can have warriors, you can have army guys. So it can be fantasy, fiction, sci-fi, whatever. And you can have races. So you can have humans, and then you can have, like, if your dolphins are intelligent or semi-intelligent, you can make them a race. You can make simians a race. In mine, there's going to be elves and dwarves and other things that kind of appear out of nowhere. So they'll be in addition to the humans. And I'm going to codify all that stuff in there and put in some of their history. It's not even necessarily stuff that you guys as readers are going to hear about, because that isn't germane to the story that I'm telling. but it is background for me as the author, because when I'm writing, my characters are going to be thinking from a particular point of view. So, for instance, for those of you who are alive when 9/11 happened, okay, that will always be a part of your life. You will always remember where you were on 9/11. And when that calendar comes by, when that day comes by on the calendar, you stop and you pause. And your kids might ask you why, or, think about if somebody from a place that had nothing to do with Earth suddenly arrived and noticed all the Americans stop on 9/11 and do weird shit, right? It's just part of our background. It may have nothing to do with the story that I'm telling, but it has to do with the people who are in the story that I'm telling. And so those are the kinds of notes that I take. Um, and this is not deep writing. It's just background. A lot of times it's just point form stuff that I've jotted down. Sometimes I don't even type it. I'll talk it into my phone, and it just, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be functional. Um, so whatever works for you in creating characters, giving them background stuff really helps. Having them have flaws, having them, what pet did they have as a kid? What musical instrument did their parents force them to learn? What happened with their first girlfriend? When did they lose their teeth? What weird things did they have? A weird tattoo? None of this stuff has to even ever be mentioned, but it can affect how your characters react to one another. And it gives them a depth that they otherwise wouldn't. And I find when I'm being a reader that when I'm reading authors that take the time to do those backgrounds, I get much more into the storyline. And when I'm dealing with authors who write one-offs, I don't as much. It's not that it's not necessarily a good story, but it doesn't grip me the same way because it isn't real. It only exists for that story. Whereas authors, even if I write this fiction, this fantasy that I'm working on, and it gets published, great. It might be a one-off. I doubt I'm going to write a second book in this world, but everybody who reads it should walk away knowing that there's stuff that happened before the book and there's stuff that happened after the book, and it's important too, even if they never get to read the stories. They shouldn't want to leave the world when they put the book down. That's the point. Sorry, trying not to cough in people's ears. So that's kind of what this week is all about. I do all sorts of different things. Like I said, I do the interview thing. I do the World Anvil thing. Sometimes I'll just write little things about their backgrounds. What happened at their 5th birthday party. Random stuff. Useful. And it might get mentioned in the book offhandedly. It might not. Every once in a while, one of those things becomes something really important to your character, even if it's not important to the storyline. It's so important to the character that it affects the storyline. And that's cool. When that happens, your world gains a depth that it otherwise would not have. So that's where I'm at today. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because character building is one of my favorite things. I don't like world building quite as much, but I love character building. I like bringing the people who live in my head and be creating them enough and physically enough that I get to share them with other people, because they get loud in there. I want to let them out sometimes. So, yeah, character building is a lot of fun. And you don't have to build out every single character. Take a note from Dungeons and Dragons. And that's kind of where I learned how to build characters. The main characters, your adventurers, you flesh out completely. You need to know everything about them because you need to know how they tick. But secondary characters, you only need to know enough about them that when they touch your main characters, they're three-dimensional. People beyond that, really, you can roll up random citizens, the people wandering around town, who you're never going to interact beyond a hello and can I buy a beer kind of thing. And they don't need to be, they can be very generic. And so you can kind of cookie cutter them and then just change a couple of things so that you're not running into the same person over and over again. So that's something that you can do. And if you're used to Dungeons and Dragons, if you've played it or another RPG system, use those character sheets. Go for it. Why not? Most of them are free online. Go fill it out. If that's what helps you organize your thoughts, then my God, do that. Do that thing. So I hope that you, like me, will be creating your characters this week and working on their backgrounds a bit and getting them all ready so that in November you can slowly peel back the curtain and there they'll be, ready to be thrust into whatever world you have built for them. All right. So remember, eat good food, drink the water, get some exercise. With fall coming, okay, today, happy equinox. It's equinox today. We're going to be getting less and less sun, and it's important to get outside and let it touch your skin. Okay, it really is. Even in winter, especially in winter, our vitamin D plummets, and then our creativity goes down. Okay, and if you don't believe me, ask your doctor. You can go look it up online. The Google lady will tell you all about it. But yeah, keep your vitamin D up. Go outside, get fresh air, do things, especially right now, because we're used to getting the summer sun and it's still kind of summery out there, but we're getting less and less and less every day. And it affects the body in very odd ways. So do the things that are necessary. Take care of yourself, please. And don't forget to comment, share the video, and if you have any questions or you want to talk about things, let me know. And I love you guys, and I'll see you next week, okay? Bye!